What's your view? What's your view? What's your view? What's your view podcast?
Welcome to the What's Your View podcast with Olu Dolapo. This podcast was created as a space for real people with real life experiences that most people can relate to and learn from. Have a great time listening.
Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast, and I still have my guests around, and we'll be talking about popular culture and its excesses, divorce, ghosting, mental health advocacy, social media, and everything, other things, other popular culture that will come to mind. Yeah, the rainbow color, yes. Okay, so they've introduced themselves before, so we'll just go straight into it. Do you think divorce, ghosting, mental health advocacy, social media, do you think the talk of I'm a Gen Z, the talk of I'm a millennial is or are popular culture?
We are what we are right now. I think we are all millennials,
Aside from me.
But regardless, I think the talk
Do you identify as a millennial or Gen Z?
Millennial. I'm in between millennial and Gen Z. I'm 27, so in between. Yeah.
Stop it, mama.
I feel no, just a,
Sorry, in terms of pop culture, there's a phrase that we use in the States, like, okay, boomer. If one old person is saying something that makes no sense for our context, we say rude things like, okay, boomers, like, just to dismiss whatever comment they were making. But I think...
like baby bloomers, right?
Baby boomers, yeah.
Oh, boomers.
I think it's 2 generations before millennials, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's boomers, Gen X, millennials, then Gen Z. Exactly. So I do think it's part of pop culture. That's not, like, pop culture itself is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I think the excessive things about pop culture, like canceling people, I think canceling people is really wild as a concept. But I'm a fan of accountability. Let me talk about cancel culture, for example. So cancel culture for me is very wild as a concept because we will cancel people for doing things that we would do or have done, but just don't have the same platform as this person. So give an example. A celebrity, there was a celebrity recently who established their own boundaries in a relationship in private text to their partner. In private texts. This person, after the relationship has been over for like months, if not years, then leaked the comments that this person made establishing boundaries in their relationship. And they were saying, oh, this person was gaslighting me or was trying to control me. And it was like, no, this is not, boundaries isn't saying what you cannot do. It's saying what I am not comfortable with. You know what I mean? The person can choose to navigate it whatever way they wanted to. And now people wanted to cancel this man for establishing boundaries in a private relationship that wasn't supposed to be publicly known. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay, so
You say it does. It does make sense.
it does make sense to me.
Oh, okay, why?
Like what the way you explain it makes sense to me.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, like what you're saying makes sense, but I'm just saying that it doesn't make sense that people are doing that.
No, it doesn't make sense that people are doing it, but I'm saying like it's thought process in regards to the way you explain that makes sense. Okay, so my other question, there is a thing of, I want to leave this job because my mental health cannot take it again. I don't think I'm going to be able to continue living here because my mental health cannot take it again. That's a popular culture. So, what do you think?
I'm sorry. I'm ready clapping like one African mama as I am currently. Because not to so that I don't dwell too much on the negative. I really believe that we do not or over the years we have not had enough, mental health conversations
at all.
Especially in a place like Nigeria, in a Nigerian context, because most of our reaction to things are based on the state of our mental health, and some of the way we grew up has not encouraged to a large extent the most healthy mental health. But I also speak as a Christian. I have a blessed mental health. However, I pray the Holy Spirit is correcting lots of things in my life. But let's move on from that to your question. I believe that a lot of Gen Zs make excuses. I'm sorry for calling out these Gen Zs, But I'm not going to be bullied.
You're one mama.
I mean, I'm not even one mama, but in the actual sense, I feel like Gen Zs, they are amazing people, creative people, sweet, love. I mean, they are so blessed and talented. However, I feel that they don't want to put in the work that is needed, and then mental health comes in as the perfect excuse. I feel every kind of inconvenience can be said to be an attack on your mental health. And I'm like, excuse me, what is happening?
I definitely agree that it can be abused quickly, right? But I think Gen Z is interesting to me because our generation, right? Do you remember your first phone? What kind of phone was it? It was probably one of those basic phones where you get to press a button like six times to get the letter you... It was a flip phone, Abby.
Yes.
So you had a flip phone. Gen Z, they grew up and all they know is smartphones.
Yeah.
Like, their access to technology and information, and therefore the world, is very different from the one we had.
Who are you supporting?
And what I'm going to say is this. Facebook, I think either Facebook or Instagram knew that that social media use, specifically on their platforms, was bad for the mental health of teenage girls. Like, they knew that the more time that, especially teenage girls, because like the images you're seeing on these type of platforms is usually of women and conforms to a certain beauty standard, was deteriorating their mental health and still did nothing because it was financially profitable for people to spend more time on these apps, Abby.
Yeah.
And so I think we underestimate how much growing up with technology actually affects our mental health because we don't always have good boundaries. I think the most socially acceptable addiction is to our phones, to technology. Like, we use it so much more than I think other generations could even fathom. So the way that like Gen Z relates to each other is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in life. But I think it's because they've grown up with technology and not having to engage in person.
Yeah.
In the same way that our generation and the generations before just took for granted. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
he does.
So in some ways they're much like, my little sister is more tech savvy than I'll probably be in life. But I think because of the way that she's been raised in our home, she has really good social skills in person too. But I don't know if that's the rule. I feel like that's the exception.
Absolutely,
yeah.
That is the exception. So I feel like I don't know what it means. Maybe, I mean, I'm not so far from being like, it's not like I'm old. I'm 35 or something. Do you get
35 old.
It is now. But in the actual sense, I kind of understand what it means to grow up in a maybe not, right? But maybe I don't know what it means to be a Gen Z and to be, exposed to all this technology and information at a very early stage. However, I still want to say that we should not make the idea of mental health should not be an excuse for most things. Like, because it is really. So let me tell you what the conversation usually is. I have a younger brother that is Gen Z. I hope he never listens to this podcast. I hope he never listens. Femi, I love you, but I mean, I have a younger brother that is Gen Z. But I mean, when we talk about certain things, it begins to look like, oh, these things that you people have accepted, you have accepted not because it is right. We are the ones that can fight for it. We are trying to correct it. However, some of these things that you are talking about are like, this is how a company has to run. Do you understand? They are like, you really need to. So sometimes even if you want to do your job well, you might not be able to work 9 to 5. Like, you won't do some. Do you leave your work 5 o'clock? Does that mean that they're affecting your mental health? I mean, I don't get it. And then you're like, no, I keep working. I leave 5:30. No, this is not my brother, but I'm just saying. I'm just giving an example. I leave work at 5:30. Sometimes I leave at 6 o'clock. My appointment. I'm supposed to work 9 o'clock to 5. Sorry. Yes, you are Gen what? Duh.
I agree, Zana. Whatever she said, I agree with.
I mean, alpha. I mean, every little thing is just an excuse to not I don't know, to not put in
So
100%.
I agree with that take. I think that's also the same thing that other generations said about us when we were coming up.
Maybe.
That we're lazy, that we're entitled, that we think that we want to change things. And that's our own perspective towards the younger generation. I think it's interesting. So, right, in the States, you guys know this concept of quiet quitting, Abby.
Yeah.
Quiet quitting for me is a lovely concept, but I think it's a misnomer. Because I think for a long time, in the States, right, the first two questions you ask anyone is, one, what is your name? And the second question is, what do you do? As if your identity is tied to your employment. And I think, for the most part, the typical American has an unhealthy relationship with work. And so when the pandemic happened and people were just like, is it a must that I work 12 hours and 24 hours? We started to understand what it's like to have healthy relationships with work. And I think it allows us to then have not work-life balance, but life-work balance, where you're prioritizing your life and you're figuring out how work fits into that framework, as opposed to...
As it should be.
Exactly. And so I think Gen Z is funny to me because in some ways, like, they're right, because I think we, in the States, have an obsession with work. But I think it's like they use mental health as an excuse to not be diligent sometimes.
Yes.
And I think
Most
that's
times.
not a good trait to have.
No, it's not. It's not. And I'm jealous, a bit jealous of Gen Zs, because I feel like with the kind of information and the way they grew up and all of that, the kind of opportunities that they're exposed to, I feel like the exception of like the norm, those that are like not, and in quote entitled, those that are not using mental health as an excuse, would really, really do well, because they have everything at their, in quote, beck and call. Yeah.
Okay. So my next question, which is more like the last question, is: in the midst of the popular culture, the innovation, the great things happening in the world now, right? How do I, as a person, not let all of these things control me, and I can live a disciplined life and maintain
from this bed,
and maintain a good relationship with myself and people around me, my job, animals, plants, and everything around me? How do I live a well-disciplined life, even in the midst of the popular cultures around music, movies, TV shows, whatever it is?
I
That's
love that
different
question.
things.
Yes.
You don't understand how much I love that question, because it's so much about like what I was talking about in terms of life work. I think so. During the pandemic, to be fully transparent, right, there was a lot of mass shootings of Black people not mass shootings. They're just like widely televised murders of Black people at the hands of certain police officers. And I remember seeing it, like every time I would scroll on Facebook, I would see the video of someone basically being killed. And I remember thinking, this is a disaster to my mental health. Like, this is actually bad for my mental health. So I quit social media. For most of the pandemic, I did not have any social media. And I think I needed that mental space away from this thing that I was seeing that was like literally a traumatizing thing, to see someone that looks like an aunt or an uncle just perish. And so I think for me, when it comes to living a disciplined life, it's so much about what you're saying no to that gives you the freedom to what you're saying yes to.
Yeah.
And so I think I actually think a really good and underrated mental health trick is to spend time in nature. I think a lot of people, especially I'm a city boy through and through, some of my best experiences in life and spiritual experiences is like when I'm away from the city, or when I'm engaging with nature, or like when I'm looking up at the stars. Like, remember when you were kids and you would just like look up at the stars at nighttime? Like, I don't think we do that as much anymore. And I worry that in our efforts to be so quick, go, like, we're missing... Exactly. Like, I no longer wish in life to be booked and busy anymore. I want to be aligned and I want to be rested.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing the things that
And
don't
I want
matter.
to be productive, you know?
I want to be productive,
Do
but...
you think the pandemic was more of a blessing to humanity? Yeah.
I think it depends on your specific circumstances, so I can't generalize. I think if like your family was healthy and safe and you were for the most part be able to continue life and work, it gave you an opportunity to reflect on the things that really matter to you. Right? The relationships you want to prioritize.
There's a context, right? One thing the pandemic did is that the whole world paused. And I can say, like, to an extent, 40% of the people in the world at that time were all able to take some time to reflect. Yeah. So that's the blessing part I'm talking about, right? But the other part is that it affected a lot of people's mental health. Most people who had never stayed 12 hours in their house and now staying 2 months in the same house.
It's true.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, in regards to that, I'm saying it's a blessing that everybody could take some time to reflect, put some things in perspective, and take a new path. So that's what I'm saying. Do you think?
Absolutely. No, I think the pandemic actually controlling for those other things was a great thing for many people, and also allow for the opportunity to just stop, right? Because I think we can allow work, and in the States, like the temptation is for work to be your God. As people of faith, you have to recognize that it's like, am I living the life that I've been called to live, or am I living the life that I think I should be living? Because sometimes like those two things aren't aligned. I think it's hard for you to find that alignment if you don't give yourself the space to reflect on what you're doing. And oftentimes we can just let my kid, my spouse, my job, all these things, even my ministry can get in the way of you actually being aligned in purpose. So I think it gave us that space, and it depends on what we did with that information that we were able to acquire.
So I was just going to say something very quickly as regards your initial question as regards how do I then, maintain a sane life, in all of this.
Not just a sane life, a
disciplined life. I mean, that's it. A sane and disciplined life in all of these, different suggestions around you on social media, pop culture. You have friends, you have people, and then at the same time, you want to feel in quotes relevant, right? I want to just quickly, and I mean, I just want to bring a different perspective. I agree with everything that Benga has, rightly said, and my perspective is we are people of faith first. So I think it is very, very, we can have like bullet points and say do this and this will not happen, but I feel like the time you spend in your private prayer time, in the secret place, molds as it is very, very important to how you grow and what your perspectives eventually become.
I think your community too.
I was actually going to go there, but I mean the first thing is your community, yes, but there's something with friends and people that are around you. There's a force that pulls certain kinds of friends to you. See, I feel that there's some people that will not just feel comfortable with me because, I mean, is it I've prayed them away in my I'm telling you, is it I've prayed them away because we all have an aura. I hope you know you have an aura that you dispense, and there's some people that will not just be attracted to you, right? So that brings me back to the first thing. As young people, Gen Z or millennial or 2 years, I'm just saying, we need to really, really, really invest in the time that we spend in our secret place. And at some point I realized that rather than my hard copy Bible, I usually do my hard copy Bible write. I write a lot when I study the Bible, usually, like with my highlighters and all of that. I realized that I'll just pick up a plan on YouVersion and I just say, oh, I've read the Bible in 1 year, and I just realized that what is happening to me, I'm not as integrated. And that screen time, sometimes you are reading your Bible, WhatsApp message pops up, popcorn. You might not be able to open it though, but you're already distracted. What happens to sometimes we really need to take a step back from those screens and really, really go back, into our prayer rooms, into our study rooms, and find that place with God, like that personal place. Like, it has to be solid. You have to find your identity first in God, because that's how you truly know who you are. How do I? Because else your friends will define you. social media will define you. People will start saying that
your achievements or accomplishments.
Even if your mental health was okay, if mental health is very, very blessed. Like, conversation around it is very blessed, so that you can be convinced that something is wrong with you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Even when nothing is wrong with you, maybe, in fact, something might be wrong with you, and you can be convinced that nothing is wrong with you. Because it's a very gaslighting kind of. I mean, I don't get.
Gaslighting is bad for your mental health.
I know, and even that is bad for your mental health. I'm just saying, the first thing that really, like, that's where you find, like, the equilibrium, the balance. That's where you really, really find yourself. I mean, if you forge out from that place, or that secret place where you are on your own, it's just you and God, and then you are able to face the world in such a way that you are the one influencing, not necessarily the other way. Of course, and then you're able to control, what gets to you and all of that. That's one. And then, when you're talking about community, I believe that your kind of friends, they are like, your friends are a big part of your story. You cannot say otherwise. Mm-hmm. They are one of the biggest influences in your lives. And then, but the aura you kind of dispense will determine the kind of friends that you attract. I can't remember the last time I've had or somebody has become close to me that they were giving me troubles with my spiritual life. Do you understand? Or maybe somebody that is saying, I don't think I've ever had a friend that said, let's go to the club now. I don't know. He's really strange to me. I have never. And do they not exist? Do they know? I'm sure they do. But bad energy, stay far away. I mean, I don't really. So I'm just saying that secret place is very, very important. And please, this might be a personal opinion, but I feel like we should begin to do away with digital Bibles, especially in our private times. I think what digital Bible should be for is maybe when you're on the road one time and you want to remember a scripture or something, just quickly open your digital Bible and highlight it. But open the Bible, actual Bible, and
it's just a tool. It just can't replace you. It can replace it, but it's not bad. It's just how you use it. If you're using it to replace what you know works for you, then it's probably not going to be as effective.
It's so bad now that people don't even bring Bibles to church anymore.
Yeah. Like, large percentage of people do not bring hard copy Bibles.
I don't know. I as someone who prefers analog everything in life, like, if I never have to use a laptop again, I will be happy. I think there's value to having the digital version of it.
No, absolutely. I don't think.
But it's just how you. I just think as humans we engage, and this is probably what you guys are saying. We engage with technology different than we engage with, like, a textbook, right? And the opportunities to, like, highlight, and, like, highlighting on an app is not the same as highlighting with your own marker. It's a different experience, even though it's the same thing.
And like I was saying, I believe that people should use, they should have digital phones, Bibles on their phones, because your phone is probably one of your closest buddies. It's like you do everything most times on your phone. So, but I'm saying when you're having your quiet time, I feel like we should bring back our hard copy.
One thing I've realized is most times when you do your devotion or your private time with a hard copy Bible, you are invested in it than when you are just doing it your iPad or your phone or something.
It's almost like you're trying to get, like, you're just, let me just read this one chapter, and then you're like, check,
done.
check, and then but there's this sense of seriousness that comes with I want to sit down with the word. I want to study. And there's this amazing thing that I realize works for me. So before I start reading my Bible, I open my jotter and I write the date, and I write quiet time. I write the date. Sometimes I feel like it's to me, it says to God that, God, I'm ready to hear from you. I know you're going to speak to me today, and I'm ready to write it down. Unlike I'm just reading, you just wake up in the morning, you lie down, you cross your leg, and you're just sleeping through. Even if something drops in your heart, you're not ready. You are not ready. I mean, do you get? So I mean, that's my own perspective. I feel like people should stay away from screens. Like, I'm really, and if I feel like screens just generally have a way to make you.
So you're saying in your spiritual discipline,
it drains you. It drains you. Like, sometimes I realize that even if you're in the house and you've just been watching TV for so long, you might be sad. I don't know if anybody has ever felt that way. You are in the house, you've been watching TV for a long time. You can just feel sad.
Oh, withdrawn from reality.
Like that, you feel so sad that you will need to take a walk.
Yeah.
It's just a very blessed. I mean, I have experienced that. Don't let me project on other people, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you guys for this episode. This is one topic I don't think I would have recorded in any time.
Really?
So, yeah, I thought it was going to take a long time for I'll get people to record this week. And boom, done.
You're welcome.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to What's Your View with Oludolapo. Do not forget to share, like, and leave a comment. Remember, you can reach out to us on Instagram at What's Your View with _Oludolapo. And if you use Anchor, do not forget to leave us a voice message and leave a comment. Thank you once again for listening.